With new cracks forming in Grindavik from all this seismic activity, and the fortifications look like they're going to be built, we're going to be talking about all the updates going on in Iceland, Grindavik, and the eruption that people are saying could happen within the next few days, if not just a little bit after that. But first things first, new cracks have appeared on Grindavik Vegur, which is a road going towards Grindavik, in the area near Svartsengi. Now, the road authority here in Iceland said that there's considerable difference in the road today compared to yesterday with certain cracks, and we can see some of the picture from a news agency Visir here. Now, this is all stated on an announcement from the website of the road administration. It says that Svartsengi and the Grindavik Vegur, all of this and the land rise is causing this sort of cracks, which have formed and widened somewhat since yesterday. And the cracks have formed closer to Grindavik than they have been doing previously. And in addition to all this, they've started to form in a place where repairs have been made and close to a place where the earthquake is now taking place. And we're seeing a little bit more seismic activity. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, according to the inspector of the road administration, there's considerable difference, again, compared to even yesterday. But they don't think it's necessary to close off the road yet. All of these developments are going to be closely monitored, and of course the police and the civil defense, everyone is in constant communication with what's going on. And speaking of police, the police in the Sudanese have adopted a new procedure for people going in and out of Grindavik and sort of these posts around the city and sort of going down the roads there. And they want the people who are going to be entering the town to now provide their social security number, or Kanatala, which is in Iceland. And it's unlike the United States, this is a number that's freely given around as an ID number. And they also want the license plates of all of the cars. This is all stated in an announcement from the police. And they're saying in the last few days, the people of Grindavik, the residents, have expressed concern that people are going into the town who have basically no business there. And it was reported that some random people, some strangers, I guess, went around the town and were stealing propane and gas canisters. So the police now say that everyone who plans to go to Grindavik will have to stop at checkpoints. The driver is going to have to give their ID number as well as the license plate, all of this sort of stuff. And this is all done to have a better overview of who is inside the town at any given time and to filter out tourists and others who have no business entering the town. Again, going in and out of Grindavik is basically restricted to those that live in and work in the town. So they were asking drivers, respect this, stop at the road closures. But there is something about drivers driving through without stopping, and that's definitely a big issue that they're running into. They want to make sure that everyone is stopping and being safe. Also, on top of everything that we've been seeing, GPS meters in this sort of Sundnuka crater series stopped sending data about a half hour after the first eruption. And one of the geophysicists, head of deformation measurements at the Icelandic Meteorological Office, he thinks it's quite likely that this went under the lava. I mean, we're talking a lot, in the last video about GPS movements and things like this. And this GPS measuring stations, they cost around 2 to 3 million Icelandic kroner, which is not, a cheap thing of money. Maybe it's like $10,000-$15,000 US. And Benedict says that the damage is not huge, but it's a shame to miss the data that they were getting from there. And they did manage to get and get the signal data until it went under and basically was destroyed. They installed a new meter. It's completely known that where it could go. They put a station near there, and they're just going to be constantly assessing things. They have a dense network in this area and assessing whether the new meter or new meters even are needed in this area, because they are closely monitoring it from all of this. And now, other news, we're talking about the defenses around Grindavik. The town council and the mayor of Grindavik, they also sent in an official request to the government to say, please build fortifications around our city. And the Minister of Justice proposed at a cabinet meeting in the morning that the first phase of fortifications around Grindavik be done as soon as possible. Now, the first phase is part of the fortifications that the civil defense considers the most important. And the cost of this first phase is about 500 million Icelandic kroner, which is 3.7 million US, or 3.3 million euros. But the total cost of the defenses around Grindavik are going to be much, much higher. So we have, you can see pictures of it, of some of the defenses they've been building around the Blue Lagoon and the power plant here. Now, Prime Minister Katrin Jakobsdottir reported this when she spoke to the news agency MBF after a cabinet meeting that they had, again in the morning. And these plans are going to be presented to leaders of the opposition parties in the afternoon, and Civil Defense submitted a proposal to the Minister of Justice, which, part of the defenses should be a priority. And if these plans are approved, work on them can begin as early as January 2nd. Defenses at Grindavik will be much more extensive than the ones that have been built around the power plant in Svartsengi and the Blue Lagoon, or so they say. But looking at the timelines, they do want to push this, to be started as quickly as possible, given the land rise is going to hit the same level and exceed the same level as the November 10th, a series of earthquakes that caused a huge amount of damage in Grindavik and sort of triggered all of this movement up to the eruption. All of that's going to be taking place over the next few days, and it's going to be hitting these levels and then going higher. So they want to make sure that they get all of this underway, Grindavik protected, before they run into an eruption scenario. One last thing, as we're sort of hitting all of the points of the news for today so far, we have the seismic activity that's been going on in this region. We can again see down in this lower graph here, that's the time and then the magnitude along the sort of vertical. We can see there's most of them are hitting around a magnitude of 1 or lower, with a couple stragglers going around 2 or so. Nothing is going over 3, and the frequency is actually quite sparse. We can see that it's not really happening in these big clusters that we are used to seeing. If we do take a look at the whole country, however, we still do have all of the seismic activity kind of hitting this Reykjanes Peninsula area. There has been some other earthquake and land rise over in this sort of area over here, which we're of course keeping an eye on because this is an area that might erupt at some point. And then of course Hekla and Kapla and all this is looking to erupt in the near future as well. But right now, Reykjanes Peninsula, it's looking same old, quiet before the storm perhaps, and the activity is not much. If we take a look at the table, we can see over the last 48 hours, there have been 109 earthquakes. And you can see that most of them are less than 1 of 80. And then we have 29 that are between a magnitude of 1 and 2. So again, not much going on. We can see that the depth, we're looking at a wide range, somewhere between 2.7, 6.8, and so forth. So you can take a look at weather.is if you want to take a look at that in more detail. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed all of the updates. I'm going to be keeping you updated as things unfold, and I'm sure that the defenses in Grindavik are going to be well underway to ring in the new year. So thanks so much for watching, and until next time, hope you enjoy this. If there's anything I missed, be sure to put it in the comments.